Grizzlies win a tight one in Minneapolis tonight that came down to the wire, and John Morant, who did not have a big night for the Grizzlies, made a real big shot for the Grizzlies in the biggest moment of the game. Morant getting that one to go. That was the game winner as the Grizzlies win it by 2, 127-125 here in Minneapolis against the Timberwolves. Welcome everyone to Grizzlies Live postgame presented by your Mid-South Ford dealers, Rob Fisher, Brevin Knight, and Pete Pranica with you. 25 more shots than the Timberwolves had. That allowed the Grizzlies to win tonight.
Yeah, you look down here, 13 turnovers for the Grizzlies, and we say every night the Grizzlies just want to get shots. Why? Because they are a fantastic offensive rebounding basketball team. And when they're getting those shots, they're hitting the boards, and tonight it turned to the tune of 25-9. And second chance points.
Yeah, it was big night on the boards for the Grizzlies tonight. And as I mentioned, it wasn't a big night for John Morant tonight until the fourth quarter, until it was crunch time. Then we saw John Morant.
It was time to call 12, and he really did struggle through a good portion of the evening. He was 2 for 12 with 5 turnovers entering the fourth quarter. But Brevin, you pointed out there was still time for him to make an impression on the game, and he made it as a playmaker and as a scorer, ultimately the game winner from John Morant.
At the end of the day, there's nobody on this team that can do what John Morant can do. And what he did in the end of that game, he showed exactly what it is. He is made for these moments. Yes, I said it on the telecast. There'll be games where you don't make shots. There'll be games where things don't go your way. But because he's as talented as he is, as long as there's time on the clock, he has an opportunity to change the game. And in 2-3 minutes, he totally changed the game.
Yeah,
and really otherworldly shots.
Yes, he came back in.
Incredible stuff.
He came back in the game with 3 minutes left and hit 6 of his 12 points in the final 3 minutes of the game for the Grizzlies tonight. So a big finish for John Morant. It was a big game once again for Jaren Jackson Jr., who did a nice job on the boards tonight as well, along with scoring again. 33 for JJ.
I don't think there's any question he's playing the best basketball of his career. And I like what he told you in a walk-off the other night. He said, you asked him if he felt unstoppable. He says, well, you got to be, or otherwise you're going to fail. And he is playing as if he is unstoppable. He is playing, I think, with such a strong, forceful mindset that he would not allow himself to be bullied tonight, and brought the level of physicality, I thought, on both ends of the floor that the Grizzlies needed to get this game.
This was a test for Jaren here, because he was going to play against one of the more physical players in the association, and a guy who will use some tactics against you on that defensive side, and offensively will try to put his shoulder into your chest as much as possible. Jaren didn't get into foul trouble. The last couple possessions offensively for the Timberwolves, they went to one-on-one with Julius Randle. Jaren bottled them up so they had the foul on Gobert, missed 2 free throws. The knockaway there that we saw led to a turnover. So it wasn't just the offensive end where Jaren was disruptive. It was also on the defensive side.
And only 3 fouls for Jaren Jackson Jr. tonight, as well as the Grizzlies win at 127-125. Anthony Edwards held in check tonight by the Grizzlies, just 15 points for him. But it was Donte DiVincenzo who got some good looks from the corners, and every time he got a good look from the corner, he knocked it down.
We saw him score big numbers against the Grizzlies last year with New York, and he's really relishing the starting role. You know that he has the ability to hit the 3, was excellent with it tonight. Season high 27 from him. Also had 10 rebounds and 7 assists and a couple of steals. It was about as complete a game as you could have wanted, but I thought it was an ill-advised 3 in the fourth quarter that opened the door for the Grizzlies to finish on an 8-2 run.
Yeah, DiVincenzo did all that he could do, but I thought the Grizzlies did a great job of not allowing Anthony Edwards. You give Jalen Wells a lot of credit, you give Scottie Pippen Jr. a lot of credit. They took him out. Somebody else was going to have to hold it down on the offensive end, and it was DiVincenzo doing just that. But that meant that Anthony Edwards had no real rhythm in the game to finish in the fourth quarter. And you say DiVincenzo, well, you try to win the game at that time. It just didn't happen for the Wolves.
I got the sense that Anthony Edwards really never played in space tonight. He was always crowded.
He was always crowded, and there was always his defender was always touching him.
Well, I find it interesting, the Grizzlies, Jalen Wells does it a lot, but even when Jalen wasn't in the lineup tonight, the way they pick him up 94 feet, I mean, they pick him up as the ball is being inbounded on the other end of the floor and don't allow him to touch the ball. There were so many plays where he wasn't even involved.
Well, so many times where that player, you have no help responsibility. So if you even watch the way they defend these guys, they pick him up 94 feet, not even looking at the ball. That's why at the end of the game, Jalen Wells didn't know that the ball was thrown right behind him, because he was so locked into everything I'm doing is into your chest defensively. And I thought tonight for Jalen, it was, yes, the defense was there. He was perfect. But I also thought offensively, he is finding where he fits in when the big three is playing alongside him. When there's only one of them out there or just two, that means that more will be there for him. But when there's three out there, he is figuring out how he fits in. And tonight I thought just get into those spots to get good shots for himself.
And some of the things we saw with his one-on-one defense tonight, he does not bite on pump fakes.
Yes.
He stays down, stays in a good defensive position. It allowed him to get 3 steals tonight.
3 steals for Jalen to go along with 13 points, and 10 of those points coming in the second half, 8 of them coming in the third quarter for Jalen tonight. But he knocked down some big threes for the Grizzlies. Big defense from the rookie tonight as the Grizzlies win over the Timberwolves. We will take a break here on Grizzlies Live postgame presented by your Mid-South Ford dealers. We'll come back and hear from the coach and wrap things up here from Minneapolis as the Grizzlies beat the Timberwolves 127-125 at Target Center. We're back after this. 25 lead changes, 22 ties, no lead bigger than 6 points. Heck of a basketball game tonight as the Grizzlies knock off the Timberwolves in Minneapolis, 127-125 as we welcome you back to Grizzlies Live postgame. Grizzlies got 33 points tonight from Jaren Jackson Jr. as he led the way along with 8 rebounds. And it was another 20-point performance as well for the Grizzlies tonight. That came from Desmond Bane. Des had a little bit of a slow first half, but he came back in that third quarter. Was huge in the third quarter for the Grizz.
He's a hooper. He's a baller. I mean, what other adjective do you want to put on him? He can rebound. He's been doing a great job playmaking. 21, 5 boards, 5 feeds, 2 steals. It was a real strong all-around game. And the way that Desmond has made a reputation as a three-point shooter, it allows him to do this, to go downhill. And he made 4 of 8 from 3. This was a great all-around game from Desmond Bane. It was the big third quarter after the Grizzlies were down 1 at halftime. You had Jaren in the second, Bane in the third, and then Morant with clutch shots in the fourth. The big 3 was the big 3.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see Desmond Bane feeling comfortable with what this role was going to be this season. What they're going to ask of him, where he's going to be called upon to make plays for himself or his teammates, but when he also is just going to be asked to fit into the role with this team. I thought he just played tremendous basketball. That third quarter for him was great.
Yeah, 11 of his 21 coming in the third.
That's 20-plus in 5 of the last 6.
Yeah, absolutely, which was nice to see
yes.
from Desmond Bane. It was a good game to see from the head coach, Taylor Jenkins, as well as the Grizzlies get the win tonight. Let's hear from the head coach following tonight's dub.
No, he was coming back in, and when we know he's built for those moments. I know it was a struggle, thinking of the game. I thought he was getting great looks. His point of attack on offense was great. He was creating so much for us, just couldn't get the ball to fall through. I thought his competitiveness as the game went on defensively improved. We were throwing a lot of different looks out there. I mean, we were taking the ball out of Edwards' hands a lot, and he was, factoring that on the weak side, communication, our rotations. But then at the end, just dialing up an assist. He had that nice play to BC right there for the lob, and then obviously 2 big finishes, one at the rim, and then one with that touch, teardrop at the end. And, you got the utmost faith in that kid, to take over a game at the end. And I thought the poise and organization that he displayed, that the team displayed at the end of the fourth quarter is why we ended up getting this victory amidst a very, very competitive basketball game.
I think you played like 5 straight single-digit games against other teams in the playoff race in the West. Is this, you feel like a feel for like what playoff basketball is going to be like, and what is your sense of your team as you starting to go through this?
Yeah, I mean, playoff basketball is way different, but just proud of coming in to start a road trip against a team that we've battled with in the past. Their physicality, their size, their level of talent. They've been playing well right now. This environment here, was electric. I mean, someone told me after the game, 25 lead changes and 22 times it was tied. I can't remember the last time I was in a ball game like that. So, playoff-esque for sure. Where it's back and forth and it's chess match, with rotations and, coverages. And I thought our execution, even despite some mistakes and then making some plays, we just stuck with it. And then just the poise down the stretch to come up with the big time plays. And then, with a deficit going in the fourth quarter to, win 28-22 in the fourth quarter, that speaks volumes to this group's opportunity to continue to grow in these types of games.
And actually, before the game about
Coach Jenkins, following tonight's victory for the Grizzlies, you give up 125 points, but one of the big numbers tonight, considering it's been talked about so much over the last week, just 13 turnovers that turned into 17 second chance points, and you scored 27 second chance points tonight.
Well, we said that the one area where these teams were similar were their turnovers, and which one of these teams could win that turnover category would give them a leg up. Well, the Grizzlies did a great job throughout the body of the game of not having the big turnover quarter. They did allow the points off some turnovers, but nothing that got out of hand, so allowed them to still have a chance and then win it in the end.
Right, it wasn't like the Houston game. For me, as big a number as any, Anthony Edwards has made more three-pointers than anybody else in the league. 0 for 5 tonight.
Yes.
And held to, what, 15 points
15 points
tonight? Pretty impressive defensive performance on Anthony Edwards by the Grizzlies. Well, the Grizzlies will have to have another defensive performance, and they'll have to be more physical on Monday when they will take on the Houston Rockets again. Grizzlies Live gets underway at 6:30. Grizzlies and Rockets will tip off at 7 o'clock. All the action here on FanDuel Sports Network, and it's going to be another big test for the Grizzlies. See what you learned and what you take from the last meeting against them.
Well, the big thing I want to see was how Zach Edey responds in this basketball game now coming. He had a great showing here against Rudy Gobert. Very similar in terms of going to the basket. He'll have to deal with Şengün, but can he be a force on the other end with the offensive rebounding, the putbacks, as he was here tonight?
And can the Grizzlies deal with Jalen Wells, with Jalen Green, rather,
Yeah.
by Jalen Wells in that game?
He was terrific. In the last time these two teams met on Monday. They'll do it again this Monday, Grizzlies and the Rockets. Big win tonight for the Grizz as they knock off the Timberwolves 127-125. Jaren Jackson Jr. 33 and 8 on the night, 21 from Desmond Bane and 13 from Jalen Wells with great defense. He had 3 steals to go along with those 13 points. Grizzlies get the win tonight, 127-125. We'll talk to you Monday in Houston. Until then, good night, everyone.